if someone asked me to that dear lady, in case you're given a second chance to help out your grandfather's family not fall into medical debt again, what would you do? This is exactly how I would answer them. Yep, in case you're new here, I'm your lady, I'm a medical student and I'm in my final year. I have a story of my grandfather who happened to die of prostate cancer. Was diagnosed in his last stages, I think, stage 4 prostate cancer, and was being managed from an expensive hospital that gave the family burden to clear up the bills that were required. And by that, the family ended up selling off some of the assets, around 60% of the family's assets, or my grandfather's assets, just to clear up the medical bills. And this only just never left maybe the family that maybe it has lost probably more than half of its assets, but it left also with a form of disagreements within the family and disputes all over. Everyone was like, I contributed much and whatever, everything like that was following or that was coming up, it wasn't really so good for everyone or for any family to stand as a whole. Of course, in any family, unity is the key, and where there's no unity, everything is just ruined away just like that. And so here I'll follow up the 3-step guide that I would guide onto my family, just in case maybe I've been given a second chance to clear up all these things. So the first and very first guide that I would say is a pre-care preparation, and here it's just like managing or preparing for what is coming up, just for medical case, just as you are currently right now, you and me, at the point. I remember, we stay in a condition, maybe if I told maybe you're not in the US or those developed countries and you're probably in a developing country somewhere in Africa, we live in a state where 90% of us are not under insurance and only 10% are under insurance, and most of these guys, or maybe even those that are under insurance, they're not probably under private insurance, they're under insurance maybe from the workplace, or they're working with an NGO or a good company that really considers their health and something like that. And so that's probably the reason as to why they're somehow or somewhere under insurance or under health insurance. The first step to take in pre-care preparation is building your financial and knowledge defenses before you need care. Like at this point, when we don't really need care, just as maybe subscribing to this channel and maybe being around watching my videos here, it's a step 1 that you're doing to help out yourself to avoid all these things that you need to clear in advance. And so here with the information that you receive and what it helps you to know your insurance in and out, just in case you're under insurance. But now, since now we live, and even the content that I deliver here is just mainly for practical guided things that you can really apply without maybe saying that maybe it's not theory. So we base on someone who is paying out of pocket, not necessarily someone who is paying under insurance and what, because it's literally what I'm well versed with, because personally I'm also not under insurance case. You get? Yeah. So here the best thing that I would say is preparing your emergency fund, to know how much you're spending onto your emergencies, and how much you're funding your emergency fund or emergency pockets, just in case something lands in. And maybe you could say that we're in this stage currently maybe you're a student like me, or you're somewhere, probably you're 25, you're 20, but you don't have a family, or you're even 30 but you don't really have a family. Of course, you have to prepare for everything that may come up. Anything can happen to you, anything can happen to someone you love, anything can happen to maybe your girlfriend, your sister, your mother, someone like that, and maybe you're held responsible somewhere. So by funding up your emergencies, you're putting some money, let me say 10% of all the money you prepare to save for medical expenses, something like that. Of course, we are looking at far beyond, because this one, if you are told, you put it in a state that maybe you have you're managing your finances in a way that you bought off your groceries, you paid back your bills and everything like that. So now this is the money that you have allocated, that let me say for healthy care, to handle your health, just like that. But we could say that maybe it's so essential to help out this. Of course, a number of people are not minding necessarily maybe putting specific amount of money to cater for their health, to do everything that's regarding their health. Of course, we do, and when we are calculating or when we are making up maybe our budgets and whatever, health is put like any other emergencies. This is money for emergencies or paying bills. So it's included grossly into the bills that we are supposed to pay. We are not really being so specific, like this is the amount of health. We are putting this amount of money to health, or to manage up our health, minding the feeds, going for probably screenings, nutrition, exercise and everything like that, just to help out, live a life that's far much better. But we don't really mind that, and that's necessarily my purpose here, to just help you, try to understand the things and you get into the system that we brought together, we live all here together as a, at a very, very low cost, instead of spending lots of money when that time comes when you're sick, you're in the hospital, you have a chronic condition, and you necessarily need to spend a lot of money just to the doctors, giving money to the hospitals and everything. Of course, at that point you'll be desperate, since now you don't have the knowledge, you don't have anything like that. So any amount that you're told, you just give in, because literally you're not, you can't really defend yourself. That has come, and that's exactly what you're supposed to pay. And so this takes me to the second step that you will go after maybe the preparation or pre-care preparation. Then the second one will be the negotiation. Here is when maybe you're already in the hospital, or under management, or even just slightly immediately after management. Here we borrow the concept of Alan Marshall, the author of Never Pay the First Bill. Here this was a trending, and I think everyone, maybe someone you would have probably landed on it somewhere. Again, this one is just like, it was helping out. Alan Marshall, an American, just helping out people, cut onto the healthcare costs and everything like that. For him, he was beating up the system, that probably maybe the system wasn't better. But I feel like, at times maybe, the system is wrong, but even at times us ourselves, we do things that are literally not so good. Of course, the system is meant to, at times some systems are meant to help out people. Now, like where we stay, and most of African countries, we don't really, our system is not like mainly exploiting our people, just as maybe the American system is, or something like that. Ours just even necessarily fighting up to help out, us that way, so as we can live things at a fair price, or a better, version. But the only challenge with ours, that is a universal care system, and if at all you follow up the universal care, you find that some care is missing, everything, the long lines and everything. So we resort to using the private form, or the private care, private hospitals, private clinics and everything. And that's where the problem comes in. Now we spend lots of money out of pocket, because of course they're for profit, so everything they do is just out of profit. So you have to pay extra. Just if at all you don't want to pay, then you go for the universal care systems and whatever. So here in his book Never Pay the First Bill, was just emphasizing to follow up the monitor, to monitor up your expenses and how you're spending on health care. If at all you've been presented to the medical bill, it empowers you to check for any errors, any medical errors. Maybe also you request for itemized billings, item per item, in case maybe, let me give an example that maybe, like my grandfather's example, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So on this bill, of course, everything would be listed up. The things that were done, PSA was done, they did this and soil scan, probably maybe ultrasound scan of the abdomen, things that were listed up into the billing and what. So with all those things, you might find that there is something that was listed that wasn't necessarily like supposed to be there, or if at all. And this comes when you know something about it, like what you're supposed to pay for and everything like that. Maybe if you're under insurance, still what your insurance cover holds, what your insurance covers, and what necessarily you're supposed to pay that is not it's out of network, not into not within your insurance cover, and things like that. And with all these things, it can really help you to negotiate your bills. If at all now you have identified any errors within your bills and what, so by that you can draw up and then maybe file something to help you out, negotiate, or to be helped in one or the other. And this one takes me to the third step. And this step, if at all you have followed up the first step and then second step, it's hard maybe to even land on the third step. But if at all maybe you've missed out somewhere in the steps, like preparation, you haven't prepared quite well, and maybe you haven't checked out the negotiation stuff, and maybe there was no errors in one way. So here you go to the third one, and this one is after getting a massive bill. What would you do if at all you get a massive healthy bill or medical bill that have been given? And so for this one, the first step I would think that maybe if I was there, and I would tell my grandfather's family and everyone that was involved, is to request for a payment plan. Many hospitals actually offer this, that if at all you're going through maybe hardships in paying the medical bills and what, at times they even don't discharge you, they keep you around the hospital. And remember, the more you are at the hospital, you're paying extra. You're continuously paying. They won't say that, this one's when they were supposed to be discharged but on the hospital bed, so that we want to pay for the room that you're using and everything. You continuously pay for that. So you just request for a payment plan, and then you go home. You start, maybe you would say that maybe I'll pay half of the amount that are needed, then I'll pay the others in installments. But of course, by paying that, you expect that at times they accept, depending on the terms and conditions that you're being aligned to. But in most cases, you pay with some extra cash. Then you don't pay the exact amount that you were given. So if at all you just come into terms and you negotiate very well with them to request, if at all you're requesting for a payment plan. And if at all maybe all those things have failed, you go for, okay, you file for financial assistance. Maybe you use social media influencers and everything like that, or even community groups. There are community groups that can literally help you regulate, or can help you like contribute for you some money to clear up your medical bills, instead of selling your assets or selling your family's assets or things like that, just to clear up the bills that you're supposed to pay. Even the apps, some apps like Charity Care can help you like get some funds for you to just clear up the bills that you need. And lastly, what you do is use advocates. Advocates just like, they can help you maybe negotiate bills, or even help you find a way of how you can clear up the medical bills without really like undergoing things like, okay, really staying with debts forever. You know, debt collectors are really dangerous people. I think, you know, just even when maybe it's not necessarily medical debt collectors, but any debt collectors from long time ago, just in the Bible as well. So debt collectors were really like dangerous people, and they're heavy to deal with. So if at all maybe you don't have the skills and what to deal with debt collectors and what, so you can use what, advocates, to help you out with the entire thing. So the summary for this whole thing is like, you have, the first step is pre-care preparation. You prepare for your care by building your knowledge and then the finances about this entire thing before you need care, you get. And the second one is negotiating your bill that you're being presented to. And finally, the third step is what you will do if at all you've been presented to by a massive medical bill. And if at all you've picked some value from this video, please give it a like and share it to someone that may really need it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and see you in the next videos.